Hello, my name is Mark Culligan, and I direct a ministry in Tampa, Florida called New Hearts Outreach. And it's a pleasure for me to have as a guest today Miss Denise Schick, who has a worldwide ministry now, and she is from Kentucky and travels between California and Kentucky working with two ministries. Her Kentucky ministry is called Help for Families, and the ministry that she works with in California is called Living Stones Ministry. And I had occasion to share with Denise recently, and she was telling me about her trip to Australia. And as I listened to her share, I was so touched, because in the course of conversation she mentioned that her hosts in Australia had sacrificed and saved up an entire year to be able to bring her in as a resource in Australia. And it just brought home to my heart the reality of the need around the world for ministries like ours. I'm so excited to mention to you that in this country, Denise Schick is a specialist in the area of transgenderism. She was raised in a home with a dad that was a transgender. She's the author of 6 books, and the Lord is really using her powerfully around the world now. So I'm happy now to introduce to you Denise Schick.
Hello, I am Denise, and it's an honor to just be here with you today. As Mark had said, he had asked for me to share a little bit about my trip to Melbourne, Australia. First of all, I would like to say that you never know what God is up to and how His will comes to prosper so many others through your own hurt and your own pain. And then I received a call from a dear friend, Colleen Holt, in Melbourne, Australia. Her and I were just getting to know each other through emails and through her visiting our website with Help for Families. And she happened to call me and said, "I'd like you to come over and be my keynote speaker for the Australian Dynamic Women Conference." And to be very honest, I was really caught off by shock because of the topic that I discuss, which is transgenderism, and that just isn't normally something that you call somebody up and say, "Would you come and be our main speaker for this conference?" I talked with her a little bit to discuss that, are you sure, that this is what you want? And indeed, she was sure. She said that God had really placed on her heart that she was to bring me over there and to discuss this subject matter. The thing that really astonished me was not knowing until almost a year later that Colleen and some other family members, including a sister, had saved money for almost a year to be able to make this trip come true. And they believed in the vision that Colleen spoke about, that God had given her in my trip coming over out and under to Australia. But in the weeks ahead, I would have different meetings with folks, family members that had loved ones that identified as being transgender. I'd listen to their stories, sometimes see their tears as they had shared from very personal experiences. And God had also brought some ministers to want to understand, what is this? What is transgenderism? What causes this? Help us to understand how we can minister to the individuals and to their families. One particular minister and I had several different conversations, and I would ask Pastor David some really difficult questions and say, how would you handle if this had happened? Or what would you say, if an individual comes to you with this situation? And he was so gracious to learn. He wanted to learn. And he had such a heart of compassion for the individuals that hurt in this type of chaos and confusion, and for the family members. God is amazing. And when I look back at learning from this culture, from going to Australia to a whole different place than America, and to see the hunger for the knowledge that God has blessed me to have through, even though it was a painful experience and still very close to my heart, I know God was glorified and that others were encouraged with their faith and understanding more about this issue. I had individuals from the church service that just said, "Thank you so much for teaching us. I never would have looked at it like this," or "I would have never thought about that." And so folks had learned. They had attained knowledge in my visit there. But you know, the experience itself and the relationships that were attained there were priceless. Learning more about my Arabic friends and learning about the compassion that pastors do have to understand what is this transgenderism, what is this subject matter that's taken the culture and shaping it, reshaping it to something that really is destroying individuals and families. So I want to thank my friends who gave up of themselves, that sacrificed so much, and their husbands that sacrificed right alongside of them, and the other family members, son-in-laws and daughters, and just the entire family unit that had come together to make this trip possible. And so we give God the glory for the work that was done for my time in Australia.
Thank you so much, Denise, again. So what we heard was there is a heart cry around the world for resources that we have at our disposal. And yet there is so much shame associated with the work that we do that people will stay in hiding. They won't reach out. But I encourage anybody who's watching this, if you're dealing with homosexuality, if you're dealing with transgenderism, or whatever it is, God is not embarrassed. He's not wringing his hands. He wants to be a resource. So contact us, contact Denise at her ministry, or contact New Hearts Outreach. We'll be happy to be a resource for you. And our website is nhotampa.org. That's nhotampa.org. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.